Good morning and welcome to the second in a series of omelet videos provided to you by the Omelet Daily at omeletdaily.com. I'm Mark Shell, your Egghead master. And today I'm going to make for you a sort of a classic Greek version of the omelet. We did a cheesy spinach on the first version, and yes, we're using spinach again on this version, but namely because we've got a lot of spinach and we've got to get rid of it. It's getting old. So, as usual, I have preheated my pan on the range, on an electric range. It is set at a little over 2, and the scale goes up to 10. And to that I'm going to add 1/2 onion. Now, why 1/2 onion? Well, it's very simple. We had an old onion in the refrigerator and it needed to be eaten, so that's why 1/2 onion. Now that onion will take a little while to cook. To the onion we will add a starter of Greek oregano. I'm just going to get it going with some oregano. I like to get the flavor or spice infused into the ingredients with the oil right off the bat, so I think it carries through a little bit better that way. And then we're going to let this cook for a little while, so we're going to have to let it hit for a second and go away. Now you can see that's boiling pretty well, or sizzling. That's because it has gotten up to heat. Before we started the video, I turned this on, and it's gotten up to heat on the stove, so it won't take that long. I'm going to cover this then with a paper plate to keep a little heat in and to help it along. You can let it go too far and it'll be over caramelized, and that will make it difficult in the future then to flip the omelet once it's done. While that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and prepare my eggs. Here's what I've got, and I'll be separating these two yolks, or two of these yolks, from this with this spoon. And let's mix them up. That's pretty good. I don't really care to over whip the eggs, and I go for a little bit more of a rustic appeal, I should say, or sort of a provincial look as a finished product. Now let's see how we're doing underneath here. Not bad. I'm trying my new microphone out today. I hope I sound better. Let's mix that up a bit. You know, theoretically, in a perfect world, it would be nice if these were richly caramelized. But people need to eat in the morning, and one of the other features of these omelets that we'll be presenting is they all get cooked in one pan. So what we're trying to do is give you a nice selection of cooked sautéed vegetables together with a high protein egg source for a great start to your day. Let's go ahead and call this soft enough to get us going. Soft enough to get us going. And we will put in some spinach now. There we go. Fear not, we don't use spinach on all of our omelets, and stay tuned. There are a wide variety of recipes to come. What I'd like to do then is bring in some Lowry seasoning salt. These are red peppers. I put them in a Kroger container, but I buy these in bulk from Sprouts. And we'll drop those in for heat. And we'll add a little bit more of our oregano. Here it is. To infuse the spice. get infused with the vegetables. All right, looking good. Let's mix that up just a little bit. And we'll let that cook down with the paper plate as a cover. While that's going on, I'll go ahead and chop up some feta cheese. Let's see how we're doing. Not bad. This looks good. I'm going to keep it a little less cooked this time around, and we will go ahead and remove that to the plate. First I want to show you this feta. Now this is a lot of feta, but I'm a big fan, and I buy it in these blocks and then chop it up like that. You can get it grated, of course, pre-grated if you prefer. I don't know if I'll use all of that, but that looks like a lot of fun, so that's where that came from. And then I'm going to remove a healthy portion of this, and we'll use that for the innards, as it were, of the omelet. We'll leave the rest of this. Get some more of these onions out. That smells good, I gotta tell you. That oregano is really hitting. Mark Shell is working on his enunciation. Wait till you see number 50. Oh boy. Alright, there's some leftover, and I've moved that to this side of the pan because what's going to happen is that's going to wind up on top of the omelet, and it's going to let the ingredients, so to speak, show through. I'm going ahead and bringing in the egg. And we'll coat the pan with the egg. Let's get that feta in right away because we want it to melt nicely. Remember, all the spices have been interjected at this stage, pretty much. And you don't need any more salt because this feta has quite a bit of that going for it. I'm really hopeful for this new microphone setup. I think it's going to sound a lot better when we see the finished video on this. If we see the finished video. Are you recording up there? We hope so. That was another thing. My son told me I needed to be a little bit more jocular. Mark Shell, we don't want him to be a boring guy. Heaven forbid. Alright, now let's put in the rest of these vegetables and lay those in toward the center. Man. You know, it feels pretty green, doesn't it? Tomatoes aren't on my diet, but I'm not here to knock them, I'll tell you that. Anything that comes from the produce section is fair game when it comes to your omelet. But it might take a little finesse in terms of how you wind up using it. That was a lot of onion to be putting in an omelet. And by the way, I need to get a plate on that. So let's get that over here. There we go. And let that egg set up. But that was a lot of onion on that omelet, and it may be that it was too much. We'll see. You don't want to overload it so much. This concept of a Denver omelet with everything and the blue moon thrown in, not too wild about that. And another thing about omelets is that if they look perfectly yellow, you may have a problem. I'll let that set up for a while, and I will get a cup of coffee out on the deck. I'm going to go out on my deck. By the way, a lot of people ask me the question, if you hear any noise out here, it's because I'm on the deck. A lot of people ask me the question, hey Mark, how come you use a electric grill or electric range to cook these things on? Well, the answer is simple. I don't have a gas. If I had a gas, I would definitely use gas. But I do have a room with a view, and unfortunately that did not come with a gas range. So you got to do what you got to do, and I must say that I've learned how to cook with electricity, but it's very difficult compared to cooking with gas. Let's see. It's pretty well set up. Let's let it go just a little longer. See what we've got. It looks pretty good. I'll test it over here. Yes, that's going to work. Oops. Come on, man. Perfect. Let's get the other side now. Now this side will show the vegetation. Not quite perfect. Don't get it. There. Come on, baby. That's part of the problem is using too many. There you go. Nice looking omelet. I'm just kind of getting underneath there. It's going to be a good one. It could be a healthy omelet to get out of there. Now that is the problem, is the more you pile in there, hey, you should be eating vegetables for breakfast, so pile on. But if you want that perfect omelet, you might not want to use quite as many for show or for your friends, because getting them out of the pan is a problem, and they do fall apart. All right, we'll let that cook just a little bit. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to prepare my plate. Am I going to prepare a plate? No. I'm just going to throw it on the plate and eat it. I mentioned that it was looking a little green, so I'm not a huge fan of this, but it does add a sort of an interesting taste. If you just put a little bit of paprika for show, and also it does add a little taste. Not too much though. You've really got to go quite easy on that paprika. We'll let that just chill out for a while. I think that the feta was fairly well cooked. The egg looks good, and you see it's not a perfectly yellow thing. Go to the restaurant, order an omelet. If you find cheese melted on top of it, it's not a good sign. It's a really bad sign. And if it looks perfectly yellow and moon-shaped, that's probably not a very good sign either. Most of the French restaurants that I hang out at don't look like that. I mean, none of the French. I'm going to say none of the French restaurants that Mark Schell hangs out at. All right, here we go. Let's get a plate. It could be bon appetit time. Let's see what we got here. Can we get it out? Keep it in one piece? That would be the question. And there she goes. Bon appetit!